Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today I'm coming back to you guys with another Switch video, and this time we gotta thank Keebz N Cables. They sent me out their Taro V2, which I actually really like the V1s because of like the creamy sound it does, and it's a very nice sound profile in general. So hopefully we're gonna see what the Switch is all about, how good is it, what's it like, and of course do a little bit more information and do a bunch of sound tests. So one thing I'm going to do though is actually going to be reducing the amount of keyboards I do in terms of the sound test in a video, shorten the length of the video a little bit. The goal is that I'm streaming every Friday, so if you do want to hear like certain switches in different boards, come to the stream on Fridays. It's going to be at 5 p.m. PST Pacific time, and hopefully there I can help you guys to hear the switches in a little bit more different configurations to kind of see what you're looking for. So love for you guys to join those streams that happen every Friday. Now let's go into this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Now let's start off by taking a look at the switch we're going to be looking at today, which is going to be the Keebz N Cables Taro and Sweet Potato Linear V2. So this is the version 2, which they used to have a version 1, which we are going to do a sound comparison and take a look, of course, comparing the two and give you guys some information on both switches, of course, later on. So we're going to do a little bit of measurement, but overall, in terms of the changes from what I know, there actually hasn't been really any changes to the material, and it looks like it's more towards the light diffuser. So let's do a sound test. Now this is the Taro switch that we just did the sound test of, and I really do like the Taro in general. It's a bit nicer of an upgrade too with like the light diffuser. I like the sound profile. You know, that's the thing, is I really enjoyed the sound profile. One of the biggest issues though with the Taro V1s though was the fact that it had the stem wobble. So we're really gonna have to open this up though and do like the stem wobble test to see whether or not this helps and is fixed, because I think the V1s did have a decent amount of stem wobble in general. So let's really go into it and really see whether or not they fixed that and if it's any better. So let's open this up. So we're going to first take a look at the V2 and go into the information with that one. Now, we're starting here trying to do the measurement of the switch, like the travel wise, just to see, you know, what kind of travel we're getting. And we're starting off at 17.8. And that's what we're looking to start at. And then when we go all the way down, it's 14.2. So that's a total of 3.6 millimeter travel. But you know, we're going to do a measurement one more time just to make sure, you know, because sometimes it can be off, and we're actually getting about 3.5. So they say 3.4, but I measured about 3.5 millimeter in total travel. Now, as you can hear with the switch just standalone, it has an interesting sound to it. It has a pretty crisp sound to it. From my recollection, when I first tried the Taro switches, was the fact that they kind of sound a little bit more creamy in terms of everything, but it's definitely interesting for sure. In terms of the actual stem, so the actual like stock lubing is actually quite decent. I think compared to the V1s, the stock lubing has definitely improved a lot. Unfortunately, my V1s are actually all lubed up, so I can't really give you guys a comparison with the stock lubing wise, but it looks like the stock lubing has improved. So do you need to lube these switches? No, you don't really have to. The stock lubing is quite decent, but if you would like to lube them, you can definitely light lube them. I would highly suggest doing something very light. Now, it does have a long pole and the spring itself. So we're going to check out the springs. It said 22 millimeters, but for some reason, my measurement was coming off at 20 millimeters. So that's something that I'm noticing in terms of this. Not too sure. Maybe my measurements are wrong, but I'm coming off with 20 millimeters. Now, taking a look at the bottom housing, we're going to just double check to see, like, does this have lubing in the bottom housing? You know, kind of like how HMX and KeyGeek does it, but no. The bottom housing with the pins, the leaf pins, is not actually going to have any lubing on there, so everything is really based off of the stem and the housings itself. Now, in terms of the feel of the switch, so when you're typing with it, does it have like a decent resistance, or is it very, very light? Yeah, it's very light actually. These switches are going to be lighter than the V1s, and I noticed that like when you're trying to press it on the top, you don't really get a ton of resistance on them, so you're not going to get like a feel of the actuation compared to say some other switches out there which might have a little bit more of initial force required. This one doesn't have that much. It's very, very light. So if you are someone with heavy fingers that rests their fingers on the keycaps, I would just be a little bit careful with it because of that lightness. So overall, though, it feels quite nice. It is very smooth, very, very light of a switch. And in terms of the sound profile too, right, I think that it provides a thock to it. So it is a thockier switch. In terms of like the actual how thocky it is, we'll go over it later. But in terms of the loudness of this switch, it's not super, super loud. So I think the V2s average about 64 to 65 decibels. And that's not too loud. But compared to the V1s, it seems to be a little bit louder. When I was doing the decibel test of the V1s before, and both on the Neo 65 Core Plus, it actually came off averaging around 61 decibels. So the V2s are going to be slightly louder in terms of how loud they can be. Now, this is the V1s. So as you can see here, the change is the fact that there is there is a light diffuser changed in the V2, and there's no light diffuser in the V1s. And overall, I did really enjoy the V1 Taro switches. The only thing about them was the fact that they had some stem wobble to them. So we'll do a stem wobble test to see and make sure. But this one also measured the spring at 20 millimeters, which, yeah, it's going to be like the same spring. So single stage, and definitely going to be surprising because, like, I guess they said that it's 22, but, you know, both times it measured at 20. Of course, we're going to have to really do a little bit more of a stem wobble test with them too. But the travel wise, it's going to be 18.1 going down to 14.6. So again, we're looking at like 3.5 millimeter travel. So even though it's at 3.4, I'm measuring it at around 3.5 in total travel. So that's not bad. I actually prefer a little bit more travel than less. So that's something that's definitely nice to see. But of course, my measurement can be off by like 0.1 millimeters plus or minus. Now, of course, let's go into the stem mobile test to really see the differences. So this is the V1 on the left. And as you can see that there is a little bit more rattling on the top. And even if you look at the switches a little bit closely, there's a little bit more space, it looks like, in terms of the area around the stem and the top housing. And you can see here when it goes down, there's a lot of wobbling in the V1s. I think the V2s have actually improved a little bit in terms of the stem wobble compared to the V1s, but we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive, but you can see that movement there. Now going into the V2s at the top end, you do have a little bit, but it looks like it's a little bit less rattling compared to the V1s. And then once you go all the way down, you see that there is still movement, so it still has stem wobble. It's not that stem wobble's gone, but I definitely feel like it's improved a little bit compared to the original V1s. But if you are someone who doesn't like stem wobble at all, yeah, you're not gonna really enjoy these switches in total because they both still have some stem wobble, though you can't get the V1s anymore, but the V2s definitely will have a bit of that stem wobble existent in this switch. And you can really see that comparatively with like the keycaps on as well. So you'll see that, you know, there's movement that, you know, is not going to be desired when you are holding down a switch and playing games with them. Now going into the backlighting. So the V2s with the lighting, you can see that, you know, there is a lot more light that comes through. It's still not the brightest light. It's not going to be the greatest light either, you know, comparing to like the rise switches beside it, as you can see. But the V1s definitely have like much less light because like there's no diffuser in there and just like a little bit of a hole that's in the front of the housing, while the V2s have that light diffuser. So it really does allow for a little bit better of that light coming through. But keep in mind that the housing does affect the color of the lighting. So you're going to get more of a pinkish color. Now in terms of this spreadsheet, so I've added it in, and you can see here, right, the decibels can be a little bit louder compared to the V1s, and the overall tone is going to be slightly lower compared to the V1s as well for the V2s, but not that much lower. So it's like very similar in terms of tones, and you could have really heard in the sound test they're quite similar in terms of how they sound in terms of deepness and like the overall sound quality and the tone to it. So they're very similar. I'll put them in a Thocky range. And if you are looking for something a bit Thocky, these could be ones that you could definitely go look at. I mean, you can get them on Keebz N Cable, or if you're in North America and Canada, you can actually check out Keebz. And I'll have the links on the description for you guys to check out yourselves. But I would say go check out Keebz N Cable. I mean, they have some really cool stuff, different switches, and many different cool boards that come in. Overall, I do hope this video helped you guys to see whether or not the Taro is for you. Hopefully this video helps. And again, if you want more sound tests or have any questions, come just join the stream on Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific time, where I can actually help you guys do a little bit more testing that way. And that way these videos are going to be a little bit shorter and easier to look at and listen to, and then give you guys a better idea, especially with like the spreadsheet. I think it helps a lot for most people. So please make sure to like, subscribe, come join the Discord if you would love to have questions answered a little bit quicker and stuff, or join a nice community. And I'll have to catch you guys next time, but please go check out the other videos I got.